What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. Would appreciate a like, subscribe, comment down below. Would love to see you engage, and thanks for watching. Everybody in America, including me, is addicted to something via limbic capitalism. I won't ask you, well, I can't ask you, but I won't ask you what yours is. Mine are a couple across it. I'm not immune. Just because I'm talking about it doesn't mean I'm immune to it. I'm not. And I'm not, and I want to be very careful about this. I'm not telling you can avoid it. The limbic capitalism, the addiction economy, because I don't think that you can anymore, to be honest. I think it's just here. We just have to deal with it. It's an ever-present reality. It's here. But there are ways, which is where, again, we want to focus on things you can control at the end of the day. There are ways that we can limit its power and influence in our lives, which involves systemically going through all levels of how limbic capitalism is implemented and breaking the chain so it doesn't totally enslave you. Because it will. And we're seeing this right now. People are enslaved to their bad health, their gambling debt, to their credit cards, to everything that they want to do. I don't want that to be you. I don't want that to be me. And so what we need to do is reverse engineer the formula that we just discussed this whole episode about of limbic capitalism, of the addiction economy. And we need to undo each step, or take a big step to undo something in that step of how people get enslaved to limbic capitalism, to the addiction economy, and we need to break it. And so the how, the physical, and then the digital is how we need to go about it. How limbic capitalism happens, how it happens physically, and then how it happens digitally and intangibly. So the first thing I would recommend to stop the how, this is the biggest thing that a lot of people need to do, don't use debt. Don't use debt. Debt is the primary mechanism that opens the floodgates of the addiction economy, of limbic capitalism. And I have wrestled so hard with God over this. I go back and forth on whether or not to use debt from a biblical point of view. I've used debt in bad ways. I've used debt in good ways. I've struggled about my mortgage. I've struggled on all the coaching I've paid for on credit cards that I've paid off. But I've struggled on that. But what I've come to realize is in almost all cases, I would argue, I don't know if all would be, I don't want to go absolutist on this, but I would argue almost all cases, debt is a bad thing. It's not good. In fact, it's the opposite of good. It's very, very not good for you at all. Debt is bad. Some business debt might be fine. Some mortgage debt might be fine. Some credit card debt in the short term might be fine. But for your mental state and for using it in a consumerist perspective, I think that's what I want to hone in on here. If you use it to enhance your lifestyle through limbic capitalism, I'm just going to buy like a new jacket, or I'm going to buy like a fourth couch, or I'm going to buy a TV, and then I'm going to buy my computer, and then I'm going to buy my phone. I'm just going to swipe my credit card, $10,000, run it up in debt, 20% interest on a credit card. Do not do that. Do not do that. And so many people do it. So many people pay for all this crap, all this nonsense on debt. Things they don't need, on money they don't have. Make it make sense. It doesn't, by the way. It doesn't. So if you find yourself in a position where you are using debt daily, my recommendation would be very simple. Just stop. Stop. Do not use debt to finance a lifestyle you can't afford and do things you can't afford to do, because it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. And I've seen it happen in many people before. It's destroyed a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that I love, and it's just not worth it. So that's the first thing. Get out of debt as much as you possibly can. Do not use debt in almost all circumstances, especially if you're just clout chasing, keeping up with the Joneses person. Don't do that. Second thing is you need to prioritize your health. So in the physical world, the best way to go about fighting the addiction economy and limbic capitalism is to prioritize your health, is to make your health if you have a bunch of fires that are burning in front of you and you can only put one out, you only have one fire extinguisher to put out one fire, make it your health. Make it your health. Do not eat crap food. Do not do things that make you miserable. Do not be dependent on anything that props you up and gives you the ability to live your life in the way that you desire. Get off your antidepressants. Get off your Ozempic. Get off the crap food. I don't want to curse, the crap food that you eat from the grocery store. Eat well. Work out like a maniac. Find something you like to do. Join a gym. You can join Planet Fitness for $15 a month. Do some push-ups. in your garage. You must control your body if you want to live the life that you desire. Because if you don't control your body, other people will control your body. Other people, the limbic capitalists, the addiction economists, will find a way to hijack and control your body by controlling your brain. But if you control your body, if you're sovereign over it, you will be kept out of the hands of our vultures, of the parasites in the limbic capitalist system, so they can manipulate you. Do what you can to prioritize your health, control your body. And the most important one, by far, is the last one, which is the more digital, spiritual, mental capacity of everything, emotional capacity of everything, of limbic capitalism, the way to fight against limbic capitalism. You must, and I mean you must, establish a multi-layered group of in-person and physical communities. You absolutely must do this. Absolutely. This is the most important one because it trickles out to others. The ripple effect is through everything that you see. Whether it's, again, the food you eat, the debt that you have or don't have, etc. And not just one, by the way. You cannot just have one community of people that you result in, like your church, your synagogue, your mosque, whatever. That's fine. That's great. I would recommend that be the primary one. But you must have several in a layered capacity. Groups of friends, groups of people you can rely on, groups of people you can look forward to see throughout your week, so that you can make sure with absolute certainty that you are not digitizing your social life to addiction culture, to limbic capitalism, and they can hold you accountable to things like your usage of debt, your health, as I mentioned earlier, other levels of consumption. Because if you isolate yourself, addiction thrives in isolation, remember that. If you isolate yourself from people who are involved in this culture, I guarantee you will be freed from it. You will not fall prey to it. You will be a free person, a free man, a free woman. But you need to have people around you who can enforce that, who can make it easier for you to deal with the storms that come inside of your life. And you do that through finding real people and spending real time with them and getting to know them on a real basis. That's how you fix it. And if you don't, you're going to end up in a heap of trouble. Because no one can do this thing alone, especially in a culture that's so sick and so depraved and so savage about getting your mind enslaved. You need to do life with people. It's an absolute must. It's not an option. So get friends, get healthy, get out of debt. Do those three things, you'll live a very, very freeing life, a very fulfilling life. I guarantee you. And you won't be stuck in the psyop that so many people are right now with all of this stuff.